Taylor Richardson, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about stories today. So, the question of the day is why stories? Or, in other words, why do we tell stories? Most of us can already conclude that storytelling predates writing, meaning that people have been telling stories for hundreds and thousands of years as a use of communication before actual pen and paper. By definition, storytelling is the conveying of events in words and or images, often by improvisation or embellishment. Stories have universal meaning. Stories are universal, meaning they have been used in every culture as a form of entertainment, education, as well as instilling values. So back to the first question. Why do we tell stories? In my opinion, I believe that we tell stories to help shape our way of thinking and our way of life. We tell stories to help better understand each other. We learn more through stories than we would if, say, someone was just simply telling us something or trying to tell us information. For example, in the picture of Dorian Gray, he made a lot of references to art and its value. I believe that we apply the same value to stories. Just like we interpret art for a better understanding, we also tend to interpret readings or stories for a better understanding as well. And we also tend to come up with our own conclusions about them. Another example, and another one of my favorite stories, was redeployment. In this reading, we got to witness firsthand what it was like to be deployed as a Marine. Now, had the narrator just simply told us of his experience, kind of like casual conversation, I believe that it wouldn't have had the same impact that it did when placed in narrative form. So it's kind of like when people say you never know what something is like until you actually experience it. I think we can kind of relate to the same thing with this story. Just like we never would have known the extent of the narrator's problems had he not gotten down to the nitty gritty and went into like strong detail. Ultimately, we did get a better understanding of what it's like to be deployed to war, which is kind of what I was saying earlier. We use stories to get a better understanding of people's lives and things like that. My last example comes from the readings in the Encyclopedia of Early Earth. Now, I thought this text was very interesting and something that I definitely was not used to. As we noticed, a lot of the stories in the text were of direct relations to older stories and myths from the past, things that we've heard when we were children, as well as religious texts, like the Bible, for example. As far as the Bible, we all know that religious texts sometimes do play a part in shaping our way of life, well, at least for those who practice the religion and things like that. Greenberg had a very unique way of portraying this, and I felt like it was different, and it did grasp me as a reader, and I know that it grasped other readers as well, as that was the goal. Overall, I do feel that telling stories is something that we are just, as a human race, it's ingrained in our head, and that's biologically what we were made to do. And I feel like it's never going anywhere. We're going to be continuing to tell stories for thousands and thousands of years. So that's why we tell stories.